This is Pastor Mike Zachman, and I just got back from a trip to Winnipeg, Canada, and I wanted to tell you about some of the highlights to see what God has done. I'm just so blown away by His goodness. On Friday night, a 9-year-old girl was in the back of this auditorium of one of the churches that I was speaking at, and she was sovereignly touched and came up crying and saying, I just got healed of diabetes, just bawling. And I said, well, how did you know that you got healed? And she said, God touched me and something left my body. And her faith was amazing. And 2 days later, I interviewed her in another church as she was there with her grandma and great-grandmother. And she said she had checked her glucose levels and her diabetes was completely gone. She had been born with it. In that same meeting, the Lord just broke out and touched the youth. A 17-year-old girl was healed of asthma with what she had from her birth, and then a spirit manifested in her body, and she started to scream, and the Holy Spirit showed me that it was a distracting spirit, and I asked the pastor and another woman to take her to a prayer room so that it wouldn't distract the rest of the meeting from what God was doing in the youth. And another meeting on Sunday morning in that same church, actually, we had a 9 or 10-year-old girl who had hearing aids, and we prayed for her. She took the hearing aids out, and someone about 100 to 150 feet away called out to her, and she heard for the first time without hearing aids. It was amazing to see the look on her face, and especially her mom. There was a 24-year-old man who came on our Tuesday night meeting in a hotel that I was speaking in, who hadn't been able to speak in 9 months, and he was catatonic. His mom would walk him up, and he just shuffled his feet. He could not speak at all. It was a demonic spirit that was keeping him from speaking. He was spitting into a rag because it was saliva was coming out of his mouth. And while we prayed, he started to speak slowly. But his healing happened over 4 or 5 days. And then on Sunday afternoon, he was at the service, and I interviewed him in front of everyone, and he was back to his normal self. He happened to be from the country of Eritrea, which is just north of Somalia. We had another woman who was from Asian descent who was listening to or came to one of the meetings on a Thursday, and she got blasted by the Holy Spirit on the ground, shaking as the power of God touched her. And what happened next was she led a Bible study on Friday nights, and she said she's been asking for God to touch the Bible study, release the Spirit. Well, after the Thursday night meeting, she led her Bible study and just said, Holy Spirit, I give this meeting to you. The Spirit fell in that meeting. People were crying, speaking in tongues. She gave the testimony on Saturday at this seminar on how to keep in step with the Spirit. And she was bawling, just crying at the Spirit and how He had moved in her life. And there was just testimony after testimony of a testimony of the goodness of God. And I still have many more that God did of taking away the diabetes, the breathing issues, pain in people's legs. We had a woman in her late 60s who had pain in her shoulder and her neck for like 2 years. God just took it away right before our eyes. And afterwards, she's having this tea as I'm walking out of the hotel, and she said, I'm having a tea and I'm celebrating that God took away my pain. That's something to drink to, she said. So just stuff like this. I can't wait to come to Chicago, by the way, and minister at Hub Ministries on Sunday night. I think it's the 26th of July, and I'm really looking forward to meeting a bunch of you. So bless you, and get your neighbors and your friends and your family to come to receive the release of the love and the power of the kingdom of heaven.